morning, everyone. This is Michele Hughes from Ageless and Timeless. Today, I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Clare Morrow, and Clare is from Dallas, Texas, and she is what's called an IFBB, which is the name for people who have made the pro athlete. It's called what does it stand for again, Clare?
International Federation of Bodybuilders.
Oh, there we go. International Federation of Bodybuilders, IFBB, in case anyone wants to know what that means. And everyone that watches my podcast knows that we're featured not only on United Broadcast Network, but also on Muscle and Fitness. So we're right in your alignment there, Clare. And just so you know, we are still trying to arrange for you and I to be on a Muscle and Fitness show. So
I love it.
Anyway, I just want to preface our interview discussion with a little introduction about you. So in my experience, in my lifetime, I've met a lot of very highly motivated and very entrepreneurial and very exciting, inspirational people. I've been very, very lucky to have been an entrepreneur since I was very young and in the business world. But I have to say that I have never seen the example of motivation to the nth degree extent of what I see with Clare. So we're going to flash some pictures of what Clare used to look like before she became enlightened and decided she had a goal, a big goal, and that she was going to pursue that goal. And that was about 15 years ago, right? Age 42. So actually that's only about 8 years ago, right? You're almost 50.
Yeah. So I'm 51 now. So I was
51.
It was just about 9.5 years ago when I started.
Okay. So we're almost at a decade. However, when did you actually start seeing the changes after you made your commitment with your husband, Randy, to become an IFBB pro?
So when you first start your fitness journey, the fat loss is not necessarily the hard part. It's more if you're trying to build muscle, that takes longer. So to be brutally honest, I noticed my butt lifting up after about 8 weeks. I couldn't see my butt cheeks from the front.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that was one of the first things I noticed, and that can take 8 weeks, depending on where you're starting from, right? So I had already lost some weight when I started bodybuilding, and I didn't like the way I looked. I looked skinny fat. I had no muscle tone. I was, my muscle was gone because I didn't do it right when I began, and I ended up skinny fat. So that's what led me to bodybuilding and saying, okay, well, now I have a little loose skin and I want to fill it out with muscle. And that's exactly what I did. So, the timeline I tell people not to worry about because the time is going to pass anyway, huh? So don't worry about how long it's going to take. And everybody's journey is going to be very, very different. So mine probably took about 6 months to where I could really see some good muscle coming in. But like I said, everybody's going to be different. So if there's somebody, heavier than I was, it's going to take them a little bit longer to, see the muscle.
I know, but you and Randy both lost over 50 pounds. So
yeah,
actually,
together.
In the background, I'm seeing now your book, Fluffy to Fit, which I think is such a great title. You can see the before and after, which we'll even give you some more photos to inspire you today on what Clare has accomplished. But there she is in the background before, and here she is in the foreground after. And of course, you can see her right now here on the screen to prove that those photos are, in fact, indeed accurate. So, okay, so you did lose an inordinate amount of pound weight. So what was the secret to just that? Forget the muscle for a moment. Just let's talk about weight loss, because a lot of people, they want to just get the pounds off first, then they'll worry about the muscle. I know that's not always the best way, but I think some people just getting the encouragement of losing the inches around their different parts of their body and actual pounds on the scale, if that's going to be the way they measure. So how did you ever get to go from 55 pounds, let's say?
Well, it's diet. It's 80% diet. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's the absolute truth. I always tell people I'm no BS. I'm going to put it out there and tell you exactly how to do it. And it is 80% diet to see results. The rest of it is walking 10,000 steps a day. That's really important. You know, people think, oh, I need to do all this cardio. No, we burn the most calories with our all day activity. So make sure you're getting 8 steps in a day. I'm telling you, our all day activity is where we burn the most calories. But the most important thing is your diet. Eating whole natural foods, especially if you're over age 35, because our digestion slows down, our liver processing of food slows down. We just can't eat the same crap we used to when you were 20 and 30 years old. Am I right, girl? So as you get older, that's why, because our digestion slows down and our liver slows down, and we get hormonal imbalances. We'll get into that, I'm sure. So once those puzzle pieces come together, that's when you'll start to see the results. And keeping your protein high too.
Well, protein is a subject I want to spend a little time on, because that's so critical to any kind of muscle building, and of course, even to the weight loss. So, okay, so let's just take a sample of a day, a typical day. So people understand it's not that difficult. And we shouldn't really call it a diet. It's a lifestyle, because diet suggests something temporary. And yeah, there are many diets out there, and there are many failures with diet. So let's go to let's use the nomenclature of lifestyle, because this is going to be a forever thing. And obviously it is for you. You've been doing it now for this many years, and you're not going to change now. You found nirvana in your lifestyle. So let's just take a typical day. So if you were eating in your program, what would be the typical diet for that day? Just give us some samples of what you think the menus could be.
So basically, you know, oops, are you still there? Yeah. Okay. I advocate for natural foods mostly. So, you know, my diet is going to be maybe a little bit different than somebody else's, but my typical food is like steel cut oatmeal that's gluten-free in the morning, with either protein in it or egg whites with 1 whole egg, you know, something like that would be my breakfast. I tend to eat 4 to 5 times per day. Your portion sizes depend on your own personal macros. And I know that confuses people too, so we can get into that later. So, you know, that's how you determine your portion sizes. But, you know, the more times a day you eat, the smaller your portion sizes are going to be. So for me, because I like to keep the muscle on me, I eat 5 times a day or so. So my next meal would be my pre-workout meal, which would be chicken that I cook in a crock pot, and I put mustard with it, or GQ sugar-free sauce, something like that, and sweet potatoes that I air fry. So that would be, I eat about an hour before I go lift and work out. And then when I'm done, I eat something like turkey shepherd's pie, which is my absolute favorite. So that's a good workout meal. And usually my meals are spread about 3 hours apart, give or take. My next meal is probably just a snack, like a little protein or something. I make a really good protein pudding with the protein that I love, Devotion. So I use that, and maybe a rice cake or something. And then dinner, I do a big salad with my homemade honey mustard dressing, which I do have in my cookbook, by the way. It's 0 calories. You heard me right, 0 calories. It's good. So I put that on my salad, and then I also have either tuna with it or chicken with it, or I do the turkey shepherd's pie without starchy carbs. So I generally don't eat a lot of starchy carbs at night. And then I usually finish eating my, you know, foods 3 hours before bed, give or take, 2 at the most.
Wow, because a lot of people would find that if you eat that many times a day, you're going to gain weight. But so what's the science behind that you can say a person could subscribe to that 5 times a day program as long as they're working out, right?
No, it's not even that. It's the total amount of calories that you eat. So, you know, people that, unless you're insulin resistant or diabetic, you don't have to worry about fasting or any of that. I don't fast. No, you don't need to. It's the total amount of calories. So if you are eating too many calories, you're going to gain weight. If you're eating in a calorie deficit, which is where you are burning more calories than you're taking in, you're going to lose weight. It's just a simple equation, really. Now, there are some factors that come into this. Insulin resistance, diabetic, but you still have to be in a calorie deficit, and hormonal imbalances, which we'll get into. So those make a big difference, you know, with you know, a little bit of play in those factors. But you know, the number one king on losing fat, losing weight is going to be your food, your calorie deficit.
Okay, so I love that you've gone over that in a very efficient way. And there's room in there for sweets, which a lot of people have trouble with giving up their sweet tooth. So let's talk about what you do in your program to allow for a sweet tooth.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's not like you can't ever cheat again. People think, oh, I'm on a diet. I got to eat weeds and berries to lose weight. It's just not true. Um, you can do like one cheat meal a week or something like that. But I eat chocolate every single day and I get away with it because I've learned how to make those foods healthier and benefit me. Like I can make a healthy pizza. I can eat that every day as one of my meals if I want to. It's 200 calories for the whole pizza. I can make a chocolate pudding or homemade Nutella, and yes, it's good. That has protein in it, and it's still within my macro calorie windows, right? So, that's how you eat chocolate every day and get away with it. I've learned, and that's why I wrote my cookbook, because so many people are lost as to how do I eat my favorite foods and still stay on track and not feel guilty after eating it.
Well, not that I want to give a plug for Lily's, but you mentioned in your book, and I've got 3/4 of the way through Fluffy to Fit, and I've definitely looked at your entire cookbook, which is the companion to your book. So if anyone is interested, we can flash that over the screen so that you can purchase Claire's book and cookbook. But I noticed that you had mentioned Lily's, and I swear by Lily's, because dark chocolate is full of resveratrol, which is a nutrient that a lot of people don't realize is very anti-aging. And also it's a sweet, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a sugar sweet. So they sweeten with, I think it's with stevia, right? And so stevia is a natural fruit, so you're not getting the artificial chemicals of sugar. So if anyone's interested, Lily's, you can buy it I buy it on Amazon. You get three bags of it, so it lasts you for a long, long time. So that's one chocolate. And then I also find I take unsweetened coconut and the chips I buy again on Amazon. And then if you mix the coconut with the chips, and you don't even have to make a cookie or anything like that, just use that as like a little dessert and just mix it together. Sometimes I'll put in like mulberries, dried mulberries, something to give it a little more body. But it's so simple. All of these things that Claire suggests in her cookbook are meant to be for people like us that are very busy and that don't have a lot of time, but want to prep a little bit in order to be prepared, so you're not caught. What's the word? You're not caught unprepared because you're busy and you don't have time, so you go and eat something unsavory, like fast food.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Gematria Products. Gematria is based in Carlsbad, California, and they manufacture ultra-high quality dietary supplements using QI technology. Qi, as you probably know, is the energy that runs throughout our bodies and is the basis of Chinese medicine. Use the code AGELESS and get 20% off your order. I highly recommend Gematria's products. I personally use the Complete Aminos, the Heart Gems, and the Methuselah Life, which is an RNA and DNA sublingual spray. The website to go to is www.gematria.com/QI-technology. And there you'll find out more about this fascinating company, their products, and the technology.
So let's go back to the other part of this, which is, so we talked about nutrition, so that's the bottom line. Is nutrition is your food is your medicine, and if you don't recognize that you have to make adjustments to your diet, just pick up Claire's book and you will be convinced. So so we have nutrition. So what's the next step?
So obviously, like I mentioned before, getting 10K steps in a day so that you're burning more energy that way. That can be taking your kids to the mall, taking your dogs for a walk. It can be anything. Just moving around, right? Not sitting. I mean, that's why so many people gained weight during COVID, because they were sitting watching Netflix all day, which, that's all we had to do back then, because we were all locked in the house.
Right.
So that's really important to you. Now, lifting weights is the best thing you can do for your body, and I'm going to tell you why, especially as you get older. We lose 8% of our muscle every decade over the age of 40 until we get to 70, and then it's something like 15%. That's a lot, and that explains a lot, because when you see these older men and women that are hunched over, walking around, they can't walk, they fall down easily. I don't want to be that person. So
Right.
try to keep muscle on you, build muscle as you get older. It also helps your joints. If you have arthritis, it's going to help you, believe it or not. It strengthens your tendons so that you don't fall down. Muscle is the glue that keeps the body together, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So build as much muscle as you can. I'm not saying you have to be a competitor like my crazy butt, but to try to keep muscle on you for that reason, so that you don't end up frail.
How do you measure your muscle? I mean, how do you know that you're actually gaining muscle when particularly as you're losing weight?
Yeah, so that's an easy one, and I do recommend people lift weights as they're losing weight. Also, you're not going to look like a man. You're just going to look like a badass with a fit ass. Okay. Pardon my French.
No, that's good. I like that.
Okay, there's several ways you can do it. Number one, obviously take pictures. The scale is not accurate. It's going to be up and down and all over the map. Take your measurements. That helps. But there's also something called a DEXA scan. And that's really the most accurate way. Most big cities have a DEXA scan somewhere. In bodies, my next choice, but make sure you get one that you stand on that's really like a doctor's office. Sometimes you'll find them, wellness doctors have them. So that you can measure where you're at. Now, the key with that is doing it at the same time of day, because they're not 100% accurate, but the trajectory will be accurate. So let's say the first week you go in and you're on an in body and you have 58 on the muscle and you're 28 body fat, right? The next week you go in at the same time of day and you have 27 body fat and you're 58.9 on the muscle. That's how you know. You look at the trajectory of it.
Okay, but it is through, and that, by the way, for everybody who's watching, InBody is an actual name of a company that does do the body fat measurement, and you do it on a scale like, you go in a doctor's office and get on the so-called scale. It tells you everything, your water weight, your muscle mass, your lean muscle mass, your body fat, your actual weight, which, as Claire just mentioned, don't pay attention to the old-fashioned scale, because you will be shocked, because as you gain muscle, you're going to gain pounds, and you're going to feel discouraged if you see the pounds going up. What you need to focus on, as Claire said, is the inches. And if your clothes, if your jeans that didn't fit you before you started, are now starting to feel loose, girl and guy, you are doing the right thing. So pay attention to your clothes and your inches, not to your actual body weight, so you don't get discouraged, right? Okay, so that's exactly the InBody. So, and then the DEXA scan is a little more sophisticated, a little more, you have to make an appointment, go to a lab that has the DEXA scans where, they're a little more rare, but you can find them, because I go to one in Santa Monica. Every time I'm in LA every year, I go back for well, I shouldn't say that, actually. It took me 3 years to do between them. But anyway, the good news when I did mine was they said there were no changes from 2018 to 2023. So it was 5 years. And that is what you're looking for. You want to get a baseline, right, Claire?
Yeah.
And then make sure you don't be as slow about getting a new one. Maybe every 1 or 2 years, Claire. Is that?
Yeah. Now, if you're lifting weights regularly, I would try to do one every couple of months. But you know what I did? Because what I have a small InBody, the smallest one they make at home. So when I get up in the morning, I go pee, and then I use that thing once a week, right?
Yeah.
It takes your weight, it takes your muscle, so you can kind of have an idea. And if you do that once a week, every week, you can see which direction you're going. So that's handy to have at home. That way you don't have to make an appointment. You can find them on Amazon. I actually have an Amazon favorites page, and I'm so used to saying link in bio. It's weird on this, but on my social media pages, I have an Amazon page. I never share anything with anyone I don't use myself. Anyway, I have one on there, and it's really good. I love that thing, and it tells me it's not like 100% accurate, as it's a little bit like the body fat is always going to be a little higher than you actually are, but it's the trajectory that we're looking at.
So are there any other, well, let's talk about your Amazon page for a moment, because obviously those little tools and tricks that you recommend there are very important. So first, let's tell people how they can go find it if they want to look there, because I want to go look there. I know I did when I first spoke with you a month or so ago, but I definitely want to go back there because that's a really helpful. I mean, you're the pro, and you're telling us some of the tricks of the trade. So what's that page, and how can people go there?
So if you're on Amazon, just search my name, Clare Morrow, ClareMorrow. Don't spell my name with an I. My mom had to be difficult, and she spelled it without the I.
Right.
That's okay. But the best thing to do if you're on Instagram or TikTok, my name there is Clare Morrow _IFBB PRO. Again, don't spell my name with an I. And then just go to my link in bio, and everything is there. But yeah, like if you're losing your hair, pumpkin seed oil helps fight the DHT that happens to us as we get older. My favorite one, this is all my hair, by the way. I don't have hair extensions.
Wow, that's great.
People ask me all the time, how do you get your hair that long at your age? I'm like, pumpkin seed oil, men's Rogaine, not the women's, the men's, it's stronger. My dermatologist recommended that a long time ago. It was the best thing ever. So things like that, and also PRP for hair loss. So if you have like a dermatologist review, I've done that several times, and I'm telling you what that process does naturally, it's a natural process. They draw your blood, they spin it down to get the platelet-rich plasma out of it, and then they inject your little scalp, direct, where you're losing your hair. What it does is it sends your hair follicles into a growth phase, so they don't die, and they start growing back, and you regrow your hair. It works like a charm.
I am so glad you are mentioning hair loss, because I have been reading on the internet more and more advertisements for Nutrifoil, for I don't know, three or four different ones that they, and honestly, I think the best is what you're talking about, is to do it with, well, pumpkin seed or even rosemary oil.
Yeah.
Which you need to do at night before you're going to wash your hair, because it is greasy. So, but if you put it in your scalp and just sleep with it, and then wash your hair the next day, I think that's a good way. And then this DHT, a lot of people don't know what that is. Can you just give a little explanation of why DHT impedes hair growth?
Yeah, and that could be caused from many things, but I'm on HRT myself, and ladies, we have testosterone in our systems just like men do, and it starts to decline as we get older. But sometimes we get DHT in the forms in our body, and it affects your hair follicles, and that can be a cause of hair loss. It can also be from your thyroid. So and I'm going to mention this, if ladies, please listen to me closely. If you're having any of these symptoms, hair loss, belly fat you've never had before, you can't lose weight no matter what you do. You can't eat the same things you could when you were 20 and 30 years old. None of us can, to be honest. You can't sleep at night. You're having hot flashes. You're waking up at 3 a.m. What the heck is that about, right? Low energy, low libido, itching, and bloating. Any of those symptoms are hormonal imbalance symptoms, and you've got to get your hormones checked. And I'm going to be specific about this. Don't go to a GP or an OBGYN for the love of baby Jesus. They do not specialize in hormones. You need a wellness or HRT doctor for this. I'm a wellness coach, so I work with some of the best doctors around, and I've been doing this a long time. So I know just from hearing women say, I went to my GP and they wouldn't test me, or they do test you and they say, you're within normal range. Well, there's a big difference between normal and optimal. And the wellness doctor will look at the number, a little more closely and tell you. So if you need a good doctor, look for a wellness doctor in your area. If you don't have one, because maybe in a small town or you want to use mine do telemedicine anywhere in the US. And if you need their information, send me a message on Instagram. I will get back to you and give you their information.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, because you're so right that when you go to a allopathic doctor, they forget. I've said this many times on my podcast, but they don't even consider hormones. Hormones are the superhighway of your body, and it's really your ground level first step to knowing your overall health. Because if your hormones are out of balance, you will never feel like you've achieved good health. So, and oftentimes, they say the blood is not the best indicator, but it is a start. And the reason they say the blood is not the best indicator is because the blood is a prick. It's a point in time. And like, for example, with cortisol, we both know cortisol can fluctuate during the day depending on your stress level. So if you do your blood while you're fasting in the morning, the cortisol is probably going to be in normal range. But hey, by 5 o'clock, after a full day of challenges and stresses, you could have a very different outlook on your adrenal glands, and which makes your cortisol. So things like that. And so Claire is right. So what's your Instagram address for people who want to go there to look for those recommendations on wellness doctors?
Yeah, so it's at Clare, CLARE, Morrow, MORROW _ IFBB PRO. So I'm sure you guys can flash it on the screen as well.
Yeah.
But if you have any questions, or for me, or I'll be glad to help you. This is what I love. I think we're all here to help people, and that's just what I feel like my purpose in life is, to help people as much as I can.
Well, I think. Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is something that everyone should admire. It's one thing to achieve and through your own goal, meet your goals and motivation to be the best version of yourself, so to speak. And then the next step is really reaching out, like you're doing, to try to connect with others that are struggling, because not everybody has your level of motivation, but they can be, a lot of people just need leadership. They need inspiration.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people to look, if you want to, don't get discouraged when you look at what Claire is now, because if you look at where she was and where she came from, you're going to see that this trajectory is achievable. And,
Absolutely.
they say what you believe you can achieve. And Claire believed, not right away in the beginning, you were doubtful and insecure, and over time you started to have little achievements, and those little achievements became the network connecting you to the next achievement. So anyway, so everybody should be inspired by other people's achievements and then learn from them. So Claire is offering this, and I think it's amazing that you're out there as a resource, Claire. And also your recipes in your cookbook, and also online. I think you give some of them online.
Oh yeah, all my stuff on my TikTok, Instagram, YouTube is a big one too, which my name's the same everywhere you go. A lot of these trainers, and I'm a fitness coach, I do online coaching, but I give a lot of information away for free because I don't care. I'm not going to gatekeep. A lot of these people, look, I got it, I get it. We all got to make a living. We all got to eat. I understand that. But I don't gatekeep. I tell you exactly what this is like, and I'm no BS too. So, sometimes it's a little crazy on my posts too, but in a fun way.
Oh, by the way, going back to the DHT, I just forgot to mention. So one of the ways, so DHT is really a bad guy. Okay, you don't want too much DHT,
right?
And you actually, as a woman, we can take saw palmetto, or even a prostate formula, which seems a little weird when you buy it and you start taking it. Why am I taking what a man would take? However, I do want to say that Dr. Elizabeth Yurth, when she was on my podcast about a month ago, she made a very good point, and I've noticed this too, that DHT, when you take it internally as a supplement, will lower your testosterone. So I don't know if you knew that, Claire, but I saw that in my latest blood work, and I said, what the heck? I always have the highest women's testosterone count, and my doctors always say, don't, the good doctors, the naturopathic and the regenerative doctors will always say, don't pay attention to what you see on those blood tests that it says high, because high, like you said, optimum and high are different. High is their range based on women of that age group that they think is normal, but yet that can be totally wrong for you. So anyway, I noticed that in my latest blood work that my testosterone had fallen. I didn't feel any differently, by the way. Testosterone helps you to build muscle. It helps with your libido. It helps you to feel energy levels. It's really good for women to have a healthy testosterone count. Just like men should have estrogen, not too much. But so anyway, just cut to the chase on that. Be prepared that if you're taking DHT, which I did because I wanted to, my hair has always been very fine, and I just wanted to be sure I didn't get too much thinning of hair. And I see a difference with the DHT. I haven't done the Rogaine, I guess because it's a chemical, but it's Fenestra, right? Isn't that the name of the name for the hair growth?
Finasteride blocks DHT. So it blocks, so you don't get too much. You want a small amount of DHT, but you don't want so much that your hair starts falling out.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, if you look up online or on Claire's site, how to grow hair growth, she'll give you that little recipe for hair growth. But pumpkin seed oil and rosemary oil are two of the oils that definitely affect hair growth. And you don't really need to buy all those expensive hair growth products because that's the stuff they have in them. So just do it. I would say do it yourself and then take, some DHT supplementation, DHT blockers, I should say, or hair growth improvement. There are a couple online that I like. So, so we got the hair growth. Now let's go back to the hormones, okay? Because hormones is such an important subject. So if your hormones are out of balance, what do you recommend people do? I mean, obviously we're not going to be taking, I hope you're not going to be taking horse's urine.
No, Lord, no.
So what is your program for, let's just say, overall hormone balance?
So my recommendation when I get a client or somebody who wants a consult, I'll tell them you need to get them checked. You need to go get your blood work and fasted with a wellness specialist. I can read the hormone levels pretty well as well. But my docs are really good too. So that's the first thing, because everybody's going to be different. My thyroid may be a mess, but yours may be fine. You see what I mean?
Right.
So from what you need. Generally, when you're getting into your mid to late 40s, our estrogen starts to drop. And when your estrogen starts to drop, you start getting hot flashes, symptoms you've never had before, like belly fat out of nowhere. Now that can even start as early as 35, believe it or not. So all those symptoms that I mentioned earlier, belly fat, can't lose weight, hair loss, low energy, low libido, brain fog, that's another one that is related to low testosterone. And usually the first few things to start going haywire, our hormones go haywire, is your thyroid can be it, and your progesterone and your testosterone. Those are the first three. Estrogen comes a little bit later, usually in your mid to late 40s. And if you don't get it under control, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, it's just a fact, it can cause belly fat. Let me tell you why. Estrogen is produced in our fat cells. So when it starts to dip low, your body starts going, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? It starts producing more fat cell in an effort to produce more estrogen, but it backfires. And we end up with all this belly fat out of nowhere, even though your diet and exercise has not changed. And your body's still left going, okay, well, now we have no estrogen. So for myself, I'm 51 in full-blown menopause and have been for a year or so. I'm on everything you can think of because I want my body running on 8 cylinders, not 5, right? So think of your hormones as the wiring in your body that controls absolutely everything from your hair to your, losing weight, all of those symptoms I just mentioned. So you want your car running really, really well. Your body's a Ferrari. You want it firing on all 8 cylinders. So I have no estrogen, so I take the estrogen. I take progesterone because I have none of that either. None of us do over 50. Small amount of testosterone because I need that too for, like you said, muscle building, brain fog, libido. Energy too. So I take that one as well. I also do peptides, which we'll get into in a little bit as well.
Yeah, I want to go. That's my next subject, but you haven't mentioned DHEA, and that's also a very important one. And you can take DHEA sublingual if you want to. I take all my hormones bioidentical, either in creams or troches. And troches means that you're going to take it under the tongue, but it's going to go right into your bloodstream. So I used to take progesterone capsules, but then I said, you know what? That means I have to digest them. So it means I have to go through the acid of the stomach and all that. So I thought I'm probably getting a lot more effectiveness out of my hormones if I do them all as either sublingual or I wouldn't recommend the patches. I hear that there's some controversy over the patches. So anyone women that are listening, the first thing you need to do when you finish this podcast is make an appointment, if you haven't already seen a wellness specialist or an endocrinologist, somebody who understands female hormones and is a more regenerative approach rather than the allopathic. Allopathic means they're going to prescribe medicines that are chemicals. We're looking for the ones that are going to be natural to your body. You can even buy estrogen as a cream. It comes from yams. I just bought the progesterone cream and the estrogen cream just to have as a backup in case, I needed some little extra boost. So you can have those on hand. But again, the baseline is to get your tests. right?
Yeah, get your test. And you're right about going. Now, I don't even like endocrinologists because I've had some women say they said, oh, I was normal when I wasn't. So I much prefer the wellness doctor. Even some neuropaths are very good. So look for a wellness doctor would be my advice. But bioidentical hormones is what you're talking about. And what does that mean? Bioidentical, it mimics what your own body does, and it comes from plants most often. Now, also, HRT does not cause cancer. That's a big old myth. When they first started HRT, like when my mom was trying to take it or whatever, they used to make it from horse urine, like you said earlier. And that was causing a problem. So they don't do that anymore. Ladies, please don't think you're going to get cancer from it. If you've had cancer, then you'd want to consult with the doctor on that. But it does not cause cancer. So I want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, and HRT stands for hormone replacement therapy, in case anyone was questioning what that meant. Okay, so let's just say your hormones get in balance. Okay, this is our first milestone. We've got our hormones in balance. We're losing some weight in terms of the inches on the way our clothes are fitting, and we're feeling like we're starting on a path of a real journey of positive outcomes. Then there's these other levels that we haven't gotten to the gym yet. I want to get to that workout part of it. Then I also want to talk about peptides, because that's been a subject on my podcast for several different weeks now, that we've had guests who are experts in that. But Claire and I both know, and we've had firsthand experience with certain peptides that help with weight loss and that help with muscle building. So first let's go to the gym. Okay, so let's just say someone's never really known how to work out at a gym. How would you guide them when they get there? What's the first thing they should do? What are some of the weights that they should be lifting, and what level should they start with? I know it depends on the person, but try to give us a little bit of a tutorial on our first visit to the gym. Even if the gym is in your home and you don't have all the equipment, at least where do you want to start? So let's go from there, Claire.
Okay, first things first, if you can afford a good trainer, find a good bodybuilding trainer that's older, that's dealt with injuries. That would be a good place to start, in the sense that they can teach you how to lift properly. If you can't afford that, or don't have time for that, or whatever the case may be, when you first get to the gym, you want to walk on a treadmill for about 5 or 10 minutes just to get blood flow. Do not do cardio first, and I'm going to explain why in a moment. So, and then you want to split up your body parts. So do every body part once a week. So do your shoulders once a week, your arms once a week, your back once a week, your legs once a week, your glutes once a week. Okay. I usually split up my quads from my hamstrings and glutes. That's a whole nother thing. I can send you, like I said, I can give you a free gift of a training plan, a training split. If you DM me on Instagram, I will certainly be glad to send you one, along with a fitness guide. So that's what you need to do. And then don't work out for longer than 45 minutes to an hour, lifting, I mean. That doesn't really include the walking, though. So walk for 10 minutes, get your blood flow. It takes about 17 minutes for your body to get into thermogenesis, which is the fat burning zone. So if you've ever noticed, when you start working out, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes in, you start getting out of breath more. And that's why, because your body starts turning and burning some calories. It's awesome. So that's why you don't want to do your cardio first, because you want to save your strength for your lift, number one. Number two, that heart rate that you already have going, take it into your cardio like 20 minutes after. You want to do about 20 minutes to start with post lifting, and you'll get a lot more calorie burn out of it. So many people do cardio first, and that's the wrong way around to do it. And that's why.
Absolutely. You're so right, because most of the trainers, when you go to the gym, they want you to get on the cardio first. So this is definitely a difference from what most people hear when they're working with a trainer.
Yeah, well, if they tell you that, they're wrong. Unless they just want you to warm up, and that's different. You can get on elliptical. I tend to walk on a treadmill just for 5-10 minutes just to get blood flow. And then I go hit it for 45 minutes to an hour. I usually train for an hour, but some people don't have time. You can do 45 minutes, totally fine. Just make sure you put up your body parts. Full body workouts are not effective. They're not. Let me tell you why. If you do your upper body and your lower body at the same time, you're going to take forever to recover from that. Number one, especially if you're and it's not effective because you cannot train the body parts as effectively and get around to everything that you need to get around to. For example, your shoulders, you've got to train the front of your shoulders, the side of your shoulders, and the back of your shoulders, or you're going to look really uneven, right? So need to do that in one workout. Or you can split it up and do back and rear delt. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But you see where I'm going with that. So make sure that you're not doing full body workouts because they're just not effective. And that's why you can't recover as quickly and you can't get an effective of a workout in the muscle, on the muscle group.
Okay, so so we're talking 5 days a week then.
Yeah, I would do 5. Now 4 to 5 is fine. You can get effective muscle building 4 to 5. 6 to 7 is probably too much if you're over 40, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think we're talking mostly in our audience to over 40, but if anyone is under 40, congratulations. But you're going to get there someday, so this will be helpful to you. But of course, you can gauge it to your own age. Your chronological, sometimes your chronological age is very different from your biological age. So that's a whole other subject for another time. But, you might be 40, but actually biologically you might be 25 because your organs and your measurements are much younger. So we've been talking about that. A number of different of our guests have testing for biological versus chronological aging. So, so that's a whole segue. But let's just assume your chronological age is 40 or higher, and this program is what Clare is recommending. Okay, so so this is the 5-day program with different body parts each day. For how long? 1 hour is what you're saying. And how do people know what machines to use?
That's where it gets a little bit tricky. In my book, I have a whole workout series in the back of the book telling you what to do as far as which body parts. But, for like shoulders, for example, you want to make sure you're doing side raises and front raises and, things like that. You can use cables, you can use dumbbells. There's so many variations. Machines tend to be a little bit safer probably for those who don't quite know what they're doing yet. For example, if you get on a chest press, I would recommend a machine chest press over using dumbbells at first, until you get a little bit stronger. Now, with a trainer, you want to use dumbbells because when you do a chest press, for example, let's say you're doing an incline chest press like this, using dumbbells, you're using your stabilizer muscles more. So a machine, you're fixed, right? So your stabilizer muscles is what you're going to be using more on with dumbbells and stuff.
Okay, so this is where hopefully having a trainer, if you can afford that, is the good way to start because they'll show you which ones. But if you don't, usually I find in a gym, if you ask whoever's there some questions like, I don't really understand what machines, which body part this machine is going to affect, and usually they have pictures anyway right next to the machine, right? So you can look and see what it's going to impact. So okay, so now moving on to that, how long do you think it takes for a person of normal, let's say 45, just pick an arbitrary age, how long would it take before a normal person of average weight who's not into the obesity category would start to see some changes?
2 months. Yeah.
2 months.
2 months for sure. You'll start to notice a little bit in 4 weeks, and then everybody else will start to notice in about 8 weeks. If you stay diligent, now you've got to keep your nutrition on point. Time, patience, and consistency is the best advice. You don't give up too soon when your results are right around the corner. You just don't give up on yourself. And like I said, anybody can do this at any age. I started at 42. I'm now 51. My husband started at 60. He's now 70 and looks like a brick shit house. Pardon my French, but that's what he looks like. He looks really, really well. Really, really good. So it doesn't matter. There's a lady on Instagram that started in her 70s and she's now like 78 and looks incredible. So you can transform your body. Now, you keep going with it. And, I saw a girl lose 100 pounds in a year and go from really fluffy, pretty much obese, to competing as a wellness competitor. And I mean, she completely, kind of like my picture here, completely changed her mindset. It took me longer because I made too many mistakes at first. I was overtraining. And there's something I want to touch on. Don't overtrain. Your body can only take so much. That's why I only recommend 5 times per week. Anyway, so this can be done. Like I said, it depends on how much, how far you have to go. And as far as the time goes, people always, oh, it's going to take too long. Well, what are you worried about? Time is going to pass anyway, sis. You know?
Yeah, good point.
Somebody said that to me once. It resonated with me.
Right. And so I know in your book you said you were inspired to start this whole program by one woman.
Yep.
Is that woman still in your life? Do you see her?
Yes.
Oh, she must be amazed at what she's seen, and she was your inspiration.
Yeah. So in my book, I wrote about this, but when I first started, I had lost my weight, but I was real skinny fat. And I saw this girl lifting, she was doing pull downs, and her back was just red. And I was like, I want to look like that. How did that happen? That was awesome, right? I could see every muscle in her body, and she was a competitor. So it was Randy and her friend, I can't remember her friend name, and I don't see her very often, but Dana, it was Dana, because I saw Dana in the grocery store the other day. Anyway, Randy became my coach later on, but, you know, I asked her, I went up to her, and I've never been a stranger. I'm not afraid to go up to anybody. I'm like a giant lab. I'll come at you, you know, and talk to you. I won't jump on your face or anything, but, you know, I'll be like, I was like, Randy, or I was like, you know, I asked her, like, how old are you? And, you know, introduced myself. She goes, and she was 2 years younger than me. And I was just like, wow, this is awesome. Like, so this can be done. You know, I didn't even think that was a thing. I didn't think it could be done over the age of 40 at the time. And I was 40, I think I was 41 at that time. And she's like, oh, no, you can definitely do it. And, and she sent me this meme that very day. And it was so sweet. And it said something to the effect of, a year from now, you'll be glad you started today. And I still have that meme that she sent me.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yeah. Everybody write that down. A year from now, you will be glad you started today.
Yes.
That is such a great quote. I love it. Go ahead. Everybody should write that down right now.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So we only have a few minutes left. I want to hear about the peptide. So let's just go over, first of all, establish that peptides are safe. They are amino acids. They are made in your body, but as you get older, you lose the ability to make some of these things. Just like human growth hormone is one of the ones we haven't really touched on, but as everybody knows, with all the controversy over HGH in the sports world, it can have its downsides and controversial effects. So these peptides are not HGH. They are from our own body, and they're amino acids. So they help to stimulate the various glands that make those peptides activated in your body. So let's start there so everybody knows we're not advocating doing anything. They are available from, again, as Claire very clearly tells you over and over again, do not go and buy these online on the internet. There's a lot of hoax, fake ones. Go to a wellness doctor and get a prescription that, and they guide you with the levels that you need to take for your body. They're compounded at a pharmacy, a compounding pharmacy. And yes, there are places that are legitimate. And I think you, Claire, mentioned a couple of them where you know they're efficacious, right? The purveyor. So I'm not saying absolutely no, but I'm saying you're safer if you can take these peptides under the supervision of a doctor, just like you're going to do your hormones. So let's start there. Okay, so let's start with growth hormone. What is your favorite peptide to stimulate your pituitary gland for activating growth hormone, which activates your muscle mass, of course. Everybody knows how important growth hormone is. And by the way, growth hormone is very difficult to measure. You can do it in your blood with a test called IgG. Unfortunately, it's an indirect test. So even if you have the IgG test, it may not be totally accurate. So it is one of the glitches about growth hormone. You can tell by looking at yourself. I mean, look at Claire. You know, she's got obviously incredible muscle tone, and that means she's got a pretty high level of growth hormone going there. So go ahead and tell us which ones you think are the right ones.
I'll be happy to tell you what I take too, because I think it'll help people. So there's so many out there. Where do you start? So there's an older one called Sermorelin. That one is really good, and it works for 24 hours. So you only have to do it's a tiny little needle. You guys don't get scared. It's like a tiny little baby needle. It doesn't even feel it.
It's a diabetic needle, so it has this tiny little.
Tiny.
It's like a little prick. You don't feel it,
you don't even feel it. So that one's a good one. The downside to that one, you can hold a little bit of water from it, not a lot, just a little bit. And by the way, just real quick, when you first get on HRT, don't panic if the scale goes up at first, because your body has to get used to the hormones, and it takes a few weeks for that to settle down. It does go away. I want to make sure I say that, because some people are like, oh my God, that's good. It's water. Calm down. You're going to lose weight eventually. Okay, anyway, so that's Simorelin. That one stimulates your pituitary gland, because our pituitary gland goes kaput as we get older. The other one that I like that doesn't make you hold water, but you have to do the shot twice a day. Or you can do it once a day, but it doesn't last as long as Simorelin. And that one is CJC 1295 mixed with ipamorelin. Those two combinations are very good. By the way, I've done a full video on this on my YouTube, Clare Morrow IFBB PRO on YouTube, if you want to look at that. Anyway.
Good. Let's stop there for a second, because you know what, you're saying these names and a lot of people don't are unfamiliar. So this is going to be a follow-up. This is like your homework to everybody who's listening and viewing. Go on Claire's site and it's say it again, Claire.
So my YouTube is Clare Morrow, CLAREMORROW IFBB PRO. The only difference between YouTube and Instagram is there's no underscore on YouTube. So my other one's is Clare Morrow IFBB PRO.
And then once you're there, do you have to type in peptides as a way to get to that particular video?
No, it'll just come up. Because it was a recent one, so it's going to be at the top.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So $12.95 with ipamorelin. That's the one I take. And okay. So what's the next one?
Tesamorelin. Now this one is a little harder to find. And I do have, yes, you want to get these through a wellness doctor, but I do have another good source as well that I've tested the peptides myself, and they're good quality. So if you want any of this information, reach out to me on Instagram. I will answer you at Clare Morrow _IFBB PRO. Okay. Tesamorelin is awesome because it actually helps with belly fat, believe it or not. And that one, 24 hours. I love that one, but it is harder to find.
And it's a lot more expensive, right?
Yeah,
the Tesamorelin. So,
none of these are cheap. Not gonna lie, but they do work.
No, but they last. They do last a month. And if you do the injections regularly, and some people don't do it as every single day, but to make them work, you really should do them as prescribed. So so Tesamorelin is harder to get in California, particularly, and more expensive. But I've heard from several doctors that it's one of the very best out there for.
Absolutely, it's a good one. I take that one right now, actually. The doctor here in Texas gets it for me, and it's actually mixed with ipamorelin, which you can combine them. You can do more than one. You do one together. I'm like, you can do several together. But if you have questions, I'm happy to answer. Now, those are the three that I like for stimulating your pituitary gland, helping you heal up, getting your skin, your nails, your hair, everything to work better. Those are my three faves. Now, there's another one called MOTS-c, and I talk about this one a lot because it is phenomenal. Now, everybody's familiar with trizipatide, Ozempic, semaglutide. That's also a peptide, but the side effects on that sucker is so severe with a lot of people. Throwing up, burping. My clients wanted to try it, and I'm like, not until I try it. Let me just see what this does to my body. And I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to do this. And I'm doing this stuff. Like, I don't want to do this. And I knew, because I'm sensitive, I knew what was going to happen. I threw up for 3 days. I burped like I just ate raw fish. My husband was like, what did you just eat? I'm like, I'm sorry.
Right. Oh, God.
So I don't recommend that one. It's going to take your muscle. It does not discriminate between fat and muscle. So just be careful with that one. If you're really obese, yes, it's going to help you, but the side effects are awful. Anyway, the alternative to that is MOTS-c. It helps with your mitochondria. It helps control your blood sugar. And it also helps osteoporosis. And the bonus for this one, if you do lift weights, it suppresses your myostatin by about 40%, maybe even more. So your myostatin is nature's governor that, basically this is how much muscle you can build no matter what you do. Your genetic governor, right? So that's your myostatin. So if it reduces your myostatin, you can build more muscle. It's a beautiful thing when you're trying to build a butt.
Right.
Anyway. So
one thing I did want to say, by the way, for everybody, it's MOT-C, MOT-C. I know Claire said it fast, and a lot of people are not familiar with that. But anyway, I did hear from one person have a lot of respect for, that her friend was on it. I'm on it too, but I don't have this reaction, but maybe I do, and I don't even know it. But anyway, she said her friend told her that she had an increase in her appetite. Is that something you've heard by anyone, or because of course everybody knows Ozempic and Wegovy and Monrovia, whatever, those three, you just lose your appetite, and when you can't eat very much, you're going to lose weight. So, but apparently, like, I feel no different. I don't have any appetite suppression on Montse, but I do think it must be doing some good things.
Yeah,
that's why I take it.
I have not noticed that at all. And, I know when I get extra hungry, but no. There's two more that I'm going to mention here in a moment. But last year when I went to compete, I was 50, and I hadn't competed in 2 years, and I was in full blown menopause, so I didn't know what I was in for. It took me forever to get to stage weight, which is hard when you're already fairly lean to get to super lean. Hard. This year, when I leaned down for my vacation, I got dang near stage weight, and I did it in half the time using Montse. The only difference was I did no extra cardio. My meals are exactly the same. The only difference was I put in Montse, tesofensine, and 5-aminos. Now let's talk about tesofensine and 5-aminos and what they do, because those are really cool. And those two are pills. Montse is a shot, but tesofensine and 5-aminos are pills. And I do talk fast. I'm sorry, I'm a fast talker.
That's okay.
So tesofensine does help you lose fat, helps with lipolysis. It also does have an appetite suppressant component to it. It works really, really well. You take it in the morning, fasted, and then 5-aminos is really cool. And you can look these up if you want to and do the research. Or ask me. I think I have it in that peptide video. Technically, they're not peptides, but they're in that family. Anyways, so 5-aminos helps your body not produce more fat cells. It's amazing. Now that doesn't mean you're like an asshole, right? It just means it's going to help you and aid you. So those three things I put into my regimen this year. I shredded out in 12 weeks. It took me 4 months to do it last year.
Wow. Hey, Claire, I just got flashed that our time is up. So I just want to quickly say there's one more that we need to say, and then we're going to have to say goodbye. And that is, of course, the GHK, the CU for the skin. So real quickly, like in 30 seconds, tell us about that one, and then we're going to have to sign off.
GHKCU, that is awesome for your hair, skin, nails. I take it as well as a cream. It also comes in a shot. Wellness doctors can give it to you, or you can get it from the company that the other company I recommend. Anyway, it's great. It will help you with your, making your skin beautiful, your hair, all the things. It's a great peptide. There's another one called AOD that's really good for fat loss.
Oh, too. Yeah. And I forgot the AOD. I take that as a troche, but you can take it as an injection. So there you have it, everybody. Wow. What a day. What an amazing amount of information we've just condensed into 55 minutes. So Claire, thank you. And I know you will hear from many of our guests. There isn't a person out there that I know anyway that doesn't want to have a better, healthier life and a longer life. So anyone that's interested, please contact Claire. She's offered to send you all her info that's on her Instagram, and she has it in a PDF. So make sure you use the Ageless code just so she knows you've seen her on this podcast. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Have a beautiful day, and thank you again, Claire.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.